In this Ultimate Team series, I make the best team I believe possible, picking players from all eras of NBA history. It isn't just about how talented the teams are, but I'm also trying to build teams that would gel and execute well together. Today, we're looking at the Ultimate Thunder / Supersonics team. Before I get started, here are the rules you need to know. To build each franchise's ultimate team, I will be picking a starting 5, a second unit representing each position, and then 3 additional rotation players at any position I choose. In total, there will be 13 roster spots. It's worth mentioning that I will not simply be building these teams based on how talented each player is, but I'll also be factoring in how well these players would do together as teammates. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting at point guard is the one known as the Glove, Gary Payton. This 6'4" star was one of the greatest defensive players of all time, as he won the DPOY award in 1996 and made a grand total of 9 all-defense teams throughout his career. Not only was he usually among the league leaders in steals per game, but he was also known for simply frustrating opposing guards with his smothering tendencies, often forcing them into bad shots or bad passes. But he was so much more than just a great defensive player, as Gary was a massive force on offense. He was a great distributor and a solid decision maker in transition, and was simply one of the greatest lob passers that the game has ever seen. At his statistical best in 2000, he averaged about 24 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals, on 45% shooting from the field. He'll be the perfect leader to set the tone for this group. Starting as shooting guard is the talented MVP candidate, Gilgoes-Alexander. SGA is currently dominating the modern game, thanks to his efficient and explosive scoring. As the primary shooter in the backcourt, he'll allow Payton to focus even more of his energy on the defensive end of the court. In the 2022-2023 season, he averaged about 31 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists on tremendous efficiency splits. He finished that season in the 5th spot of the MVP race, as it appears this young superstar is only getting better from here on out. Starting as small forward is one of the all-time greats, Kevin Durant. This 7-foot sniper can score at will, from seemingly anywhere on the court. He won 4 scoring titles in OKC, and his lone MVP happened in 2014, where he averaged 32 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists on strong shooting splits. He'll help spread the floor with his elite 3-point shooting, but he'll also be a solid option in the final few minutes where clutch baskets are needed. With the Glove as the facilitator, KD will enjoy some of the easiest looks he's ever had. Starting at power forward is the 6'8" Hall of Famer Spencer Haywood. In his days with the Supersonics, he was an annual MVP candidate, as he was a skilled player who was way ahead of his time. In his bag of tricks was solid footwork, a very quick first step, and he was a fantastic finisher with either hand. He was also simultaneously a dominant scorer and rebounder, and in 1973 he averaged 29 points and 13 rebounds on 47% shooting. He'll fit in quite nicely with this starting unit, as he's a very solid off-ball player, but is also more than capable of creating opportunities for himself. Starting as center is the Rain Man, Shawn Kemp. Technically, he spent most of his time in Seattle as a power forward, but he does have experience at center, and based on the needs of this team, that's where he's best suited. This 6'10" big was one of the most explosive players of all time, as he often attacked the rim like it had insulted his mother. For me, he was the very definition of a power dunker, and alongside of Gary Payton, he was the guy who was typically on the receiving end of many highlight-worthy alley-oops. He made 6 All-Star teams and was a solid scorer and rebounder. In 1996, he averaged roughly 20 points and 11 rebounds on 56% shooting from the field. As always, he'll be an absolute force in transition plays. Now on to the second unit. The backup point guard is the 2017 MVP, Russell Westbrook. At his best, this guy had a relentless motor. as he regularly filled up the stat sheet and was setting many records along the way. With a completely different style from Gary Payton, Westbrook will be a huge change of pace when he subs in with the second unit. In many ways, he's the ideal leader for that second unit, in the sense that he'll bring in a major boost of energy and offense to continue the momentum. In his MVP campaign, he led the league in scoring while averaging nearly 32 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists on 42% shooting. The backup shooting guard is the precision artist, Ray Allen. Simply put, he's one of the select few greatest three-point shooters in NBA history. But what a lot of people fail to realize is that he was so much more than just that, as Allen was a legitimate all-around superstar in his prime. He was fast, with a solid handle, and had the hops to finish thunderously at the rim. In 2006, he averaged 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists while making 45% of his shots and 41% of his three-point attempts. As a clutch shooter and as a lethal floor spacer, he might just challenge SGA for some of the starting minutes. The backup small forward is the 6'8" wing, Paul George. PG-13's peak in OKC was so much better than many people remember. In 2019, he finished third in the MVP race and third in the DPOY race, while averaging 28 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and a league-leading 2.2 steals on 44% shooting. He's also a legitimate threat from distance, as he hit 39% of his three-point attempts during his time in OKC, which continues the theme of this roster so far, which is solid floor spacing. As a legit wing defender, George will be a valuable asset, considering the all-time great wings that he'll be competing against in this Ultimate League. The backup power forward is one of the more underappreciated players, Tom Chambers. This 6'10" power forward played the game more like a small forward at times, as he could handle the rock and create opportunities for himself. He was an incredible above-the-rim player, as he was dangerous in the open court and had speed that few could replicate at his size. At his Seattle best in 1987, he averaged 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists on 46% shooting from the field. He has the talent and the abilities to battle Spencer Haywood for the starting spot. The backup center is the 6'11" Hall of Famer Jack Sikma. He was known as one of the first centers who could occasionally step out and hit three-point shots. Beyond that, he was solid on the boards and loved to go to work in the post, as his extremely high release point on his shot made it near impossible to contest. He was a major contributor to the Sonics championship team in 1979, but his individual best came in 1982, when he averaged nearly 20 points and 13 rebounds on 48% shooting. Now on to the 3 rotation players. The first is the 6'4" guard Dennis Johnson. He may be most famous for his time with the Celtics dynasty, but if you ask me, his best basketball was easily in Seattle, where he won the Finals MVP on the 1979 championship team. In his heyday, he was one of the best two-way players that the league had to offer, as he was regularly assigned to guard the best wing scorers in the league. In 1980, he averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on 42% shooting. His veteran leadership and experience will be a massive benefit to this team. The second rotation player is the 6'7" sharpshooter Dale Ellis. When Larry Bird was constantly winning the three-point shootouts, Dale Ellis was usually the runner-up, as he was one of the best snipers that the game had to offer. Beyond that, he was an elite scorer in general, and in 1989, he averaged 27 points and 4 rebounds while shooting 50% from the field and an absurd 48% from three-point range, while being second in the league in three-pointers attempted. Defenders would be foolish to give him any space on the perimeter. The third rotation player and the final spot on this roster goes to the 6'11" all-defender Serge Ibaka. Now you can argue that there's more talented players who deserved a spot, But as usual, I like to fill the last roster spot with whatever the team needs the most, and in this case, it's rim protection. He led the league in blocked shots on back-to-back seasons, and in 2012, he averaged 3.7 in only 27 minutes, while finishing second overall in the Defensive Player of the Year race. If Kemp or Sigma are ever struggling to lock down the painted area, then Ibaka will make a proper substitution. So here's a final look at the complete roster of this Ultimate Thunder and Sonics team. I really like the way this team panned out. They have almost everything, as they have an array of shooters and floor spacers. They have some clutch bucket getters, some dangerous slashers, and some strong perimeter defenders. The one thing that's somewhat lacking is rim protection. Ibaka saves that a little bit with my final pick, but still, it's not the most intimidating rotation compared to the other rosters in this series. Do you think this Ultimate team would make the West playoffs? Let me know below. Also, here is my list of honorable mentions. Should any of these players have made the roster instead? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.